you feel the weight of the world pressing down on your shoulders today? Do you feel the burden of worries, the anxiety of unanswered questions, the fear of the unknown, knowing at your heart? Let me tell you something right now. Something that can change the trajectory of your life if you grasp it with your whole being. When you place your trust fully in God, when you surrender your every concern, your every fear, your every plan into His hands, you step into a realm of peace, provision, and power that the world cannot give. Oh, my friends, there is a strength that there is a liberation. There is a light that breaks through even the darkest nights when you allow God to handle the rest. I know that life often tries to convince you otherwise. The storms around you seem relentless. People fail you. Circumstances betray your hopes. Your mind races with questions like, why me? Why now? How can I endure? But hear me, hear me. Clearly, God has never failed anyone who has truly trusted Him. The same God who parted seas, who brought rivers through deserts, who raised hope from despair, is the same God who is able to carry your burdens today. Trust is not a passive act. It is a declaration, a spiritual posture that says, I refuse to be ruled by fear, for I know that God is in control. I will not be shaken, for the one who watches over me never slumbers. I want you to understand something profoundly. Trusting God fully does not mean pretending your life is perfect. It does not mean that troubles will vanish instantly. It does not mean that your problems are small or insignificant. Trusting God fully means that no matter the depth of your darkness, no matter the intensity of your storm, you can rest in the certainty that God is orchestrating every detail of your life, that God sees what you cannot see, and that God is working all things together for your ultimate good. Do you grasp that God is not blind to your pain? God is not deaf to your cries. God is not powerless in the face of your struggles. God is almighty, and His wisdom surpasses every understanding your human mind can conceive. Many of you have tried to carry your burdens alone. You have stretched yourselves thin, running here and there, trying to fix everything with your own hands. And what has it brought you? Exhaustion, disappointment, hurt. But listen, there is freedom in surrender. There is relief in handing your worries over to God. Imagine a life where anxiety no longer dictates your days, where fear no longer shackles your nights, where uncertainty no longer robs you of peace. This life is possible. It begins the moment you make the choice to trust God fully, not partially, not sometimes fully, with every fiber of your being, with every heartbeat, with every breath. I know it is not easy. The world is full of voices telling you to rely on yourself, to fight your battles alone, to be afraid of surrendering control. But I tell you, the human mind is limited, the human heart is fragile, the human strength is temporary. Only God is infinite, only God is unshakable, only God is eternal. To trust God fully is to release yourself from the tyranny of uncertainty. It is to acknowledge that your vision is small, but God's vision is boundless. Your timing is delayed, but God's timing is perfect. Your understanding is limited, but God's wisdom knows no end. When you trust God fully, you are tapping into a power that cannot fail, a love that cannot forsake, and a presence that cannot abandon. Consider the times in your life when things seemed impossible, when doors were closed, when dreams were crushed, when hope seemed a distant memory, and yet here you are somehow through some unseen hand. You have endured, you have survived, you have not been destroyed. That, my friends, is the evidence of God's faithfulness. That, my friends, is proof that even in moments when you cannot see, even in moments when you cannot understand, God has been working tirelessly on your behalf. And now I say to you, do not resist this truth. Do not cling to your own methods and your own control. Place your trust fully in God. Let Him handle the rest. Oh, how we humans try to micromanage our lives. We strategize, we plan, we worry, we panic. But all of this effort without surrender to God is like a ship tossing in a storm with no anchor. You may paddle, you may row, you may scream into the wind, but the waves of life will always overwhelm you unless you anchor your trust in God. Surrender is not weakness. Surrender is courage. Surrender is strength. It is the bold declaration that says, I cannot do this alone, but you, God, are more than enough. I place everything in your hands. I trust you fully. I will not fear. And what does God do with that trust? Oh, God moves mountains. God opens doors. God provides solutions that your mind cannot even imagine. God sends guidance that reaches beyond human logic. God shields you from dangers you cannot see. God lifts you when you stumble, strengthens you when you falter, and carries you when you cannot walk. When you trust God fully, you align yourself with a divine power that transforms impossibilities into realities, despair into hope, and sorrow into joy. Do you hear me, beloved? This is not a distant promise. This is not a vague hope. This is a call to action for your very soul. Trust God fully. Do not withhold any part of your heart. Do not compartmentalize your faith. Do not say, I trust God with some things, but not all. There is no partial trust that leads to peace. There is only full surrender that unleashes the divine intervention of God in your life. God is waiting. God is ready. God is able. All that remains is your decision to step into this truth with courage, with faith, with unwavering confidence. And yes, the trials will come, the storms will rage, the nights may feel endless. But let me tell you this, God's hand is bigger than any storm. God's wisdom is greater than any obstacle. God's plan is higher than any detour. To trust God fully is not to escape life's challenges. It is to rise above them, to stand firm in the face of adversity, to know that no matter what you face, God is your strength, your refuge, your victory. Think about it. How many times have you worried over something only to see it resolve in ways you could never have planned? How many times have you feared the worst only to witness blessings you could not have imagined? That, my friends, is the power of God at work. That, my friends, is the fruit of complete trust, and I want you to embrace it. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but right now, right this moment. Place your fears, your doubts, your plans, and your entire life into God's hands, and watch how everything shifts. I want to challenge you to consider the weight you have been carrying alone. What are the worries that keep you awake at night? What are the anxieties that press upon your chest in the morning? What are the burdens that have been crushing your spirit for far too long? Bring them before God. Lay them at His feet. Surrender them fully, and then step back and watch. Watch how God begins to move. Watch how doors begin to open. Watch how hearts align. Watch how solutions appear where you thought none existed. Watch how the impossible becomes possible. Oh, there is such power in trust. There is such peace in surrender. There is such freedom in knowing that you do not have to carry the weight alone any longer. The one who holds the universe in His hands holds your life, your dreams, your future. Nothing is too difficult for God. Nothing is beyond His reach. Nothing can thwart His plan for you when you trust Him fully. Do not let fear or doubt hold you back. Do not cling to control that is not yours to hold. Do not allow worry to rob you of the joy that is rightfully yours. Trust God fully, and He will handle the rest. He will orchestrate your steps. He will guide your decisions. He will protect your heart. He will provide for your needs. He will work all things together for your ultimate good. And you will look back one day and see that every moment of fear, every second of doubt, every tear you shed was not wasted because God was working behind the scenes, crafting a life beyond your wildest imagination. Let me speak directly to those who feel broken, lost, or abandoned. You are not alone. God has not forgotten you. God has not turned away from you. God is with you, and God is moving in your life right now. Do not try to fix everything yourself. Do not try to control every outcome. Release it trustfully, rest fully, believe fully, and watch as God in His infinite wisdom and mercy handles the rest with precision, with power, with love. Take this moment right now and make a declaration. Speak it aloud if you can. Say, God, I trust you fully. I surrender my worries. I surrender my fears. I surrender my life. I place it all in your hands. I will no longer rely on my own understanding. I will no longer try to carry burdens I cannot bear. I trust you completely, and I believe that you will handle the rest. This, and I promise you, your life will never be the same. Peace will replace anxiety. Confidence will replace fear. Joy will replace sorrow. Clarity will replace confusion. Do not delay. Do not hesitate. Trust God fully today. Let Him handle the rest, for when you do, you step into a life of unshakable faith, unstoppable power, and unending peace. There is nothing too great for God. There is nothing too complicated for God. There is nothing too far gone for God. When you place your trust fully in Him, the impossible becomes inevitable. The chains of worry are broken, and the fullness of life God intends for you unfolds before your eyes. Oh, my friends, listen carefully, for this is a truth that must penetrate the very depths of your soul. God's timing is perfect, and His plan is unfailing. How often have you wished things would happen according to your schedule? How often have you felt impatient, frustrated, or even betrayed by the delays in your life? Yet, the very moments when God seems silent are the moments when He is working most powerfully behind the scenes. God does not rush, for His understanding surpasses every human measure. He does not delay, for what seems like waiting is preparation, refining, aligning, and orchestrating every detail for your good. When you trust God fully, you begin to see that waiting is not wasted time. It is sacred space where God shapes your heart, your spirit, and your destiny. Understand this. Your limited perspective cannot grasp the magnitude of God's plan. You may see problems, God sees solutions. You may see obstacles, God sees opportunities. You may see darkness, God sees light that will pierce through every shadow. Oh, how often we struggle because we try to solve with our human hands what only God can resolve. There is an almighty wisdom at work in your life, far beyond the comprehension of your mind, far beyond the reach of your own strength, far beyond the limitations of circumstance. To trust God fully is to acknowledge that He knows more, sees more, and does more than you ever could, and that your surrender invites His power to work without resistance. Let me speak plainly to those who feel burdened by fear and uncertainty. Do not let fear dictate your steps. Do not allow anxiety to paralyze your spirit. Fear is the voice of limitation. Trust is the declaration of faith. When you trust God fully, you silence the voice of fear. You rise above the pull of doubt. You stand firmly on the truth that God is both your shield and your guide, both your refuge and your provider. There is no problem too complex, no situation too hopeless, no enemy too strong that God cannot handle. He is sovereign, He is omnipotent, He is ever-present, and He is at work for your victory even when you cannot see it. Oh, how many of us have carried burdens that were never ours to carry. How many of us have tried to control what only God can control. The weight of worry is heavy, and the chains of anxiety are suffocating, and the struggle to maintain control is exhausting. But when you place your life fully in God's hands, something miraculous happens. Your burdens are lifted, your mind is cleared, your heart is renewed. Trust is the gateway to divine intervention, the doorway to peace that surpasses understanding, the key to a life that is guided, guarded, and governed by the power of God alone. Consider the power of surrender. Surrender is not resignation. It is not giving up. Surrender is a bold act of faith, a courageous choice to release your control and invite God to work without restraint. When you surrender, you acknowledge that your own wisdom is limited, but God's wisdom is limitless. Your own strength may falter, but God's power is inexhaustible. Your own vision may fail, but God's sight is infinite. Surrender opens the floodgates of divine provision, protection, and guidance. It allows God to act on your behalf in ways you could never engineer, plan, or predict. And yes, the road will not always be smooth. There will be trials. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when it feels as if the weight of the world is pressing down harder than ever. But understand this, God does not abandon his own. The storm may rage, but the anchor of your faith holds firm. The night may feel endless, but God's light is never dimmed. The struggle may seem overwhelming, but God's power is boundless. When you trust God fully, you are not promising a life without challenges. You are declaring that no challenge can overcome the one who holds you. There is a beauty in complete trust, a strength in absolute surrender, a peace that floods your soul when you realize that you are not alone in this battle. God is with you, God is working, God is orchestrating every detail. The very situations that once terrified you are now being used to prepare you, to strengthen you, to elevate you. The very obstacles that seemed insurmountable are becoming stepping stones, carefully placed by God's hand, leading you to a destiny far greater than your imagination. Oh, beloved, hear this. Trusting God fully is a lifestyle, not a momentary decision. It is waking each day with the confidence that no matter what unfolds, God is in control. It is facing difficulties with courage, knowing that your strength is found in His power. It is choosing peace in the midst of chaos, knowing that God's presence surrounds you like a shield. It is living without fear, knowing that God's plan is perfect, His timing is impeccable, and His wisdom is unshakable. Do not allow doubt to creep into your heart. Do not let worry whisper lies that contradict God's faithfulness. Do not let the opinions of others or the trials of life shake your resolve. God is mighty, God is faithful, God is just. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you cannot know. He has the ability to turn every challenge into a blessing, every tear into triumph, every trial into testimony. When you trust God fully, you tap into this divine power. You align yourself with the forces of heaven that cannot fail. You step into a destiny that is secure, guided, and protected by the Almighty. I challenge you today to release your plans into God's hands. Do not cling to them out of fear. Do not hold them out of pride. Do not grasp them out of desperation. Let God handle the rest. Trust His timing. Trust His wisdom. Trust His power, and watch as your life transforms in ways you never could have engineered, in ways that defy human logic, in ways that glorify the might and majesty of God. Every step you take in faith, every choice made in surrender, every moment spent trusting God fully is a step toward freedom, toward joy, toward the fulfillment of your divine purpose. Life may challenge you, people may fail you, circumstances may confuse you, but God is greater than all of it. God is working, God is providing, God is protecting, and when you place your life fully in His hands, the rest becomes effortless, the impossible becomes inevitable, and your heart knows a peace that no trial can disturb. And now I speak directly to the weary, the burdened, the anxious. Do not despair. Do not fight this fight alone any longer. God is calling you to release, to surrender, to trust fully. The chains of worry can be broken. The weight of fear can be lifted. The uncertainty of life can be replaced with unshakable confidence in God's power. Step into this truth today. Speak it aloud if you must. Declare with boldness, God, I trust you fully. I surrender my life, my burdens, my fears. I release control, and I place it all in your hands. I believe you will handle the rest. There is a supernatural peace that follows complete trust. There is a divine guidance that flows when you let go of your control. There is a mighty protection that surrounds you when you place your life in God's hands. There is a joy that cannot be shaken, a courage that cannot be defeated, and a hope that cannot be extinguished. All of this is yours when you make the bold choice to trust God fully and allow Him to handle the rest. Do not wait another moment. Do not cling to your own strength. Do not carry burdens that were never yours to bear. God is faithful. God is powerful. God is wise. God is working. Step into the promise of trust today. Release, surrender, believe, and watch how God transforms every challenge into opportunity, every trial into triumph, and every moment into a testimony of His greatness. Your life, your future, your destiny, place it fully in God's hands. Trust Him, believe Him, follow Him, and know this. When you trust God fully, He will handle the rest, and nothing can ever stand against the power, the wisdom, and the love of God. Oh, beloved, I want you to hear this with every fiber of your being. There is a freedom that comes only when you release every worry, every fear, every plan into the hands of God. So many people walk through life dragging heavy chains of anxiety and doubt, thinking they must solve everything themselves, thinking they must control every outcome. But the truth is this: the moment you place your full trust in God, you step into a power greater than any obstacle, a peace stronger than any storm, and a guidance sharper than the clearest human understanding. Do you understand what I am saying? Trust is not passive. Trust is active. Trust is a declaration, a spiritual statement that proclaims, I will no longer rely on my own strength, for I know that God's power is sufficient. I will no longer worry about the outcomes, for I know that God's wisdom is perfect. I place everything in God's hands, and I believe that He will handle the rest. Many of you have been living in the shadow of doubt, wondering if God is really working in your life. You may have cried out, God, why is this happening? Why am I still waiting? And yet, even in those moments of confusion, God is moving. God's plan is not delayed, it is precise. God's timing is not faulty, it is perfect. God's wisdom is not limited, it is infinite. You may not see the entire picture, but God does. You may not understand the path, but God knows the way. The obstacles you face, the challenges you endure, the heartbreaks you suffer, these are all part of the tapestry God is weaving for your life. And when you trust God fully, you allow Him to take the needle and thread, and to craft a masterpiece far beyond what your mind could ever imagine. Oh, the human heart is often restless. It searches for answers, it clings to control, it fears the unknown, but I tell you, there is a deep and abiding rest that comes when you trust God fully. Not partial trust, not occasional trust, but complete, unwavering trust. When you place your life entirely in God's hands, you step out of the chaos of uncertainty and into the calm of divine sovereignty. You move from panic to peace, from anxiety to assurance, from fear to faith. God is strongful. God is wise. God is able to handle the impossible, to overturn the unjust, to break the chains of despair, and to bring victory where there was only defeat. Let me speak directly to those who feel burdened by circumstances beyond their control. Life may have beaten you down. Life may have brought betrayal, loss, and disappointment. People may have failed you, and situations may have seemed hopeless. Yet, even in these darkest hours, God's hand is at work. He is preparing your breakthrough. He is orchestrating your deliverance. He is aligning your steps with His perfect plan. When you trust God fully, you stop trying to force solutions with your own hands and start allowing the Almighty to do what only He can do. There is nothing too hard for God, no problem too complicated, no situation too desperate, no enemy too strong. God's power is limitless and His wisdom is infinite. Do you realize the weight you have been carrying unnecessarily, the worries that have kept you awake at night? Fears that have pressed upon your heart, the plans that have burdened your mind, all of these were never yours to carry. They were meant to be placed in the hands of God, and when you do, oh, the relief, the peace, the freedom that floods your soul. Trusting God fully is the ultimate act of courage. It is the bold declaration that you are no longer ruled by fear, no longer enslaved by worry, no longer bound by limitations. It is stepping into the power of divine provision, protection, and guidance. I want you to hear this truth clearly. Trusting God fully does not mean that life will always be easy. It does not mean that challenges will vanish or that hardships will never come. But it does mean that no challenge can overwhelm you, no storm can shake you, no obstacle can defeat you. When God is in control, your steps are guided, your heart is protected, your path is illuminated, and your future is secure. The very things that once terrified you are being used by God to refine you, to strengthen you, to elevate you. The setbacks you experience are the setups for your greatest victories. The trials you endure are the training ground for your highest purpose. Oh, my friends, consider the power of letting go. Letting go is not weakness. Letting go is not failure. Letting go is faith in action. It is the acknowledgement that your understanding is limited, but God's understanding is infinite. Your strength may falter, but God's power is unending. Your vision may be narrow, but God sees the full picture. The moment you let go, you allow God to move without hindrance. You invite divine intervention into every corner of your life. You open the door for miracles to occur, for blessings to flow, and for your destiny to be fulfilled according to God's perfect will. And yes, the world will try to convince you otherwise. The voices of fear, doubt, and skepticism will tell you that you must fight alone, that you must control every detail, that you cannot rely on God fully. But these voices are lies. They are distractions meant to keep you from the power of surrender. Do not listen, do not be swayed, do not give in. Stand firm in your trust, and you will witness God's hand moving in ways that defy human logic. You will see doors open that were once closed. You will experience provision that surpasses expectation. You will find protection where there seemed to be danger. You will see hope arise where despair had taken root. Take a moment, beloved, and reflect on your life. How many times have you tried to solve what only God could resolve? How many times have you exhausted yourself trying to control outcomes that were never yours to control? How many nights have you lain awake worried and restless when all along God was already working on your behalf? There is a divine order in your life that cannot be disrupted by fear, delayed by uncertainty, or thwarted by human hands. And the key to accessing this divine order is total trust. Place your life fully in God's hands. Trust Him with your past, your present, and your future. Trust Him with your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit. Trust Him with everything you are, everything you have, and everything you hope to become. Do not allow doubt to creep into your heart. Do not let worry whisper lies that contradict God's faithfulness. Do not let the pressure of the world convince you that you must carry burdens that belong to God alone. Trust fully. Surrender completely. Release everything into the hands of the Almighty and watch as He orchestrates every detail with perfect precision. You will experience a peace that the world cannot give, a strength that the world cannot provide, and a joy that cannot be taken away. Oh, beloved, this is the time, this is the moment today. Make the choice to trust God fully, not partially, not occasionally, fully, with every breath, with every thought, with every heartbeat. Place your life, your burdens, your fears, your plans, and your hopes in God's hands. And then step back, release control, and watch as God handles the rest. The storms that once terrified you will calm. The obstacles that once blocked you will move. The uncertainties that once confused you will clear. The victories that once seemed impossible will manifest. There is a supernatural peace that comes when you trust God fully. There is a divine guidance that flows when you surrender completely. There is a mighty protection that surrounds you. When you place your life in God's hands, there is a joy, a courage, and a hope that cannot be shaken. All of this is available to you not because of your strength, not because of your wisdom, not because of your efforts, but because of God's power, God's faithfulness, and God's love. Take a bold step today. Declare aloud if you must, God, I trust you fully. I surrender my life, my burdens, my fears, my plans. I release control and I place everything in your hands. I believe you will handle the rest. And believe me, when you do, your life will never be the same. Peace will replace anxiety. Confidence will replace fear. Joy will replace sorrow. Clarity will replace confusion. You will move forward in life knowing that you are guided, guarded, and governed by the power of God Himself. Beloved, I want you to pause and hear this truth with the fullness of your heart. Trusting God fully is not a one-time act. It is a daily living, breathing commitment. It is waking each morning and choosing before the chaos of the world touches you to surrender your mind, your heart, your plans, and your every expectation into God's hands. It is deciding that no matter what unfolds today, no matter what challenge appears, no matter what fear arises, you will not rely on your own understanding. You will not lean on your own strength. You will not attempt to manipulate circumstances or people to suit your desires. Instead, you will stand firmly, boldly, and confidently, knowing that God's power is supreme and His wisdom surpasses all. There is no fear when God is in control. There is no despair when God is guiding. There is no uncertainty when God's hand is upon your life. Think about the struggles you have faced, the nights when sleep seemed impossible because your mind raced with worry, the days when it felt like every step forward met resistance, the moments when it seemed that the universe itself had conspired against your hopes and dreams. I tell you now, those struggles are not proof that God is absent. On the contrary, they are opportunities for you to trust Him more deeply. They are invitations to release your grip on what you cannot control and to place your confidence in the Almighty, who can turn every setback into a setup, every trial into a triumph, and every difficulty into a testimony of His faithfulness. There is a power, beloved, in releasing control. The human mind is clever, but it is limited. The human heart is fragile, but God's love is unshakable. The human body is finite, but God's strength is eternal. When you cling to your own methods, your own understanding, your own plans, you block the flow of divine intervention. But when you trust God fully, when you surrender completely, you open the door to miracles, to breakthroughs, to answers that defy logic, to guidance that is infallible, and to protection that cannot be breached. Do not underestimate the importance of trust. Trust is the foundation upon which every blessing rests. Without trust, faith is fragile, hope is weak, and the heart is unsettled. But when trust is complete, unwavering, and absolute, you align yourself with the force of God's will. You position yourself to receive guidance at the perfect moment, provision at the perfect time, and protection exactly when you need it most. Trusting God fully does not guarantee an absence of challenges, but it guarantees victory through them. It does not promise that life will be easy, but it promises that you will not be alone. It does not mean that you will never feel fear, but it means that fear will not control you. Oh, my friends, consider the wisdom of those who have gone before us. Those who trusted God fully did not walk in their own strength, yet they accomplished feats that seemed impossible. They faced storms that should have overwhelmed them, yet they stood firm because their trust was in God alone. And you too are called to this level of trust. Not partial, not occasional, but full, complete, unwavering trust that God is sovereign over every detail of your life. The storms you face, the trials you endure, the people who have disappointed you, these are not the end of your story. They are the context in which God reveals His power, His wisdom, and His unwavering faithfulness. Many of you are waiting for a solution, waiting for relief, waiting for a breakthrough. I want you to understand this. God is already at work. God sees the path. God knows the outcome. And God is orchestrating everything with divine precision. Your responsibility is not to control the outcome. It is to trust Him completely, to let go of anxiety, to release fear, and to surrender your life entirely into His capable hands. The rest, beloved, is His responsibility, and when you allow God to handle the rest, peace floods your soul, joy fills your heart, strength empowers your steps, clarity directs your path. I speak now to those who are weary from carrying burdens that were never theirs to bear. You have tried to fix what only God can fix. You have tried to control what only God can control. You have exhausted yourself in pursuit of outcomes that were never meant to be in your hands. Beloved, it is time to release it all. Place every fear, every worry, every plan, every hope, and every dream into the hands of God. Trust Him fully. Believe without reservation. Surrender without hesitation. And watch how He transforms your life, how He opens doors that seem closed, how He provides solutions beyond your imagination, how He protects you in ways you never could have anticipated. There is a profound peace that comes from knowing that your life is in the hands of God. It is a peace that cannot be shaken by failure, that cannot be disturbed by criticism, that cannot be threatened by uncertainty. When you trust God fully, you live with a confidence that the world cannot take away. You walk in courage that fear cannot diminish. You move forward with a hope that despair cannot extinguish. And the world watches in amazement, unable to comprehend how one's soul can remain so steady, so joyful, so courageous in the midst of trials. O beloved, do not wait another moment to embrace this truth. Trusting God fully is not an option. It is a necessity. It is the pathway to peace, gateway to power, and the doorway to provision. Every worry you release, every fear you surrender, every plan you entrust to God is a step into freedom. Every moment of trust draws you closer to the abundant life that God desires for you. Every act of surrender opens the door for divine intervention, miracles, and blessings beyond measure. O beloved, let me speak to the deepest chambers of your heart, for this is a truth that can change everything if you embrace it. God is not a distant observer of your struggles. God is not passively watching from afar, waiting to see what you will do. No, God is actively involved, orchestrating every detail, guiding every step, and moving in ways that surpass your understanding. Yet so often we try to do it ourselves. We cling to our own plans, our own strategies, our own understanding, and we fail to realize that the very moment we release control to God is the moment miracles begin to flow. Oh, the power that is unleashed when you trust God fully. The burdens that have weighed you down for years, the fears that have gripped your heart, the uncertainties that have paralyzed your mind, all of it can be lifted when you make a courageous choice to surrender completely. Consider the storms in your life. You have faced challenges that seemed impossible to overcome. You have seen doors close, opportunities vanish, and people betray your trust. Yet, in the midst of all of this, God has been working. The very obstacles that appeared to hinder you were instruments for God's plan to unfold. The setbacks you faced were not punishments. They were preparation. Every trial, every hardship, every disappointment was shaping you, refining you, and aligning your life with a divine destiny that only God could orchestrate. And this, my friends, is why complete trust is essential. It allows God to move without restriction, to bring forth His perfect plan, and to reveal blessings that your limited vision could never anticipate. Oh, how often we underestimate the power of God's timing. We are impatient, restless, anxious for solutions that we think must happen now. But God's timing is perfect. Every delay, every pause, every moment of apparent silence is a part of God's plan. It is in these moments that God is preparing your way, equipping you, and positioning you to receive what is rightfully yours. Trust is the key that unlocks this divine timing. When you trust God fully, you align yourself with His wisdom and His plan, and you discover that no delay is wasted, no obstacle is meaningless, and no circumstance is beyond the reach of God's power. Do not let fear or doubt control your life. Fear will tell you that you must fix everything yourself, that you must solve problems alone, that you must wrestle with burdens you were never meant to carry. Doubt will whisper lies convincing you that God cannot, that God will not, that God is not sufficient. But these are not truths. They are distractions. The truth is that God is almighty. The truth is that God is faithful. The truth is that God is capable of handling every detail of your life. When you trust God fully, you step into a reality where fear loses its grip, doubt fades away, and confidence rises in its place. You walk forward with courage, knowing that God is with you, God is for you, and God is in control of every situation. There is also a profound joy that comes from trust, a joy that cannot be taken away by circumstances. It is the joy of knowing that no matter how fierce the storm, no matter how dark the night, no matter how impossible the situation may appear, God is working, God is providing, God is protecting, God is guiding. This joy is not dependent on the absence of trials, but on the presence of God. It is the unshakable peace that flows when your heart rests in the hands of the Almighty. It is confidence that comes from knowing that God's wisdom is greater than any obstacle, His power stronger than any adversary, and His love more enduring than any difficulty. Beloved, I challenge you to consider the areas of your life where you have been trying to carry the weight alone. The finances that worry you, the relationships that challenge you, the dreams that seem stalled, the fears that grip your mind. What if you released all of that into the hands of God? What if you surrendered completely, trusting that God is able to handle the rest? Imagine the peace that would flood your soul. Imagine the clarity that would illuminate your path. Imagine the strength that would empower every step. Trusting God fully is not passive. It is a bold declaration, a courageous choice, a spiritual act that invites divine intervention into every corner of your life. Oh, the freedom in trust. Liberation that comes when you realize that you do not have to solve everything, that you do not have to control every outcome, that you do not have to fear the unknown. God's power is sufficient. God's wisdom is perfect. God's plan is flawless. When you place your life fully in His hands, you are free to live with peace, confidence, and joy. You are free to move boldly forward, knowing that God is guiding every step, providing every need, and orchestrating every circumstance for your ultimate good. And I say to you, beloved, this is not a promise of ease, but it is a promise of power. This is not a guarantee of comfort, but it is a guarantee of divine guidance. This is not a shield from challenge, but it is a shield from defeat. When you trust God fully, you are not promised a life without trials, but you are promised the strength to endure them, the wisdom to navigate them, and the victory that comes from walking in God's power. So, take a moment now and consider your life. What fears are you holding on to? What anxieties are you carrying? What burdens have you been trying to bear alone? Bring them before God. Place them fully in His hands. Trust Him completely. Let go of control, release the weight, and then watch as God moves, providing solutions, opening doors, shifting circumstances, and orchestrating every detail with divine precision. There is a supernatural peace that follows surrender. There is a divine clarity that flows when trust is complete. There is an unstoppable power at work when you allow God to handle every detail of your life. And the beauty of it all, beloved, is that God's plan is perfect, His timing is impeccable, and His wisdom is beyond comprehension. Every tear you have shed, every trial you have endured, every obstacle you have faced is being woven into a tapestry of purpose, provision, and blessing that only God can create. O beloved, do not delay, do not hold back, do not cling to control out of fear. Trust God fully. Place your life, your burdens, your hopes, your dreams, and your fears into His hands, and then step back. Release, rest, and watch as God handles the rest. The peace you will experience, the joy that will fill your heart, the victories that will unfold before your eyes, all of this flows from one simple but powerful act, complete trust in God. Beloved, hear this and let it resonate in the very depths of your soul.